Today we're at one of my favorite trailheads, Jean's Trailhead in the Calico Basin, right off of Highway 159 on Calico Basin Road. And here's Jean's Trail. What we're going to do today is head up the beautiful Gateway Canyon, beautiful wild canyon, navigate through Gateway Canyon, and then at the top of Gateway Canyon, see if we can ascend Gray Cap Ridge, and then once we reach Gray Cap Peak, descend Gray Cap Ridge all the way back to this area, Jean's Trailhead, and that's why we are starting at Jean's Trailhead, because that's closer to where we're going to end today. So let's head up Jean's Trail and get into the Gateway Canyon. Here we go. By the way, it's a beautiful morning. The second week in May, 74 degrees, perfect. You're looking at the Gray Cap Ridge area. We'll see more of that in a bit. Here's the tip of Kraft Mountain. In the background, the La Madre Mountains. La Madre on the right, El Padre on the left, Turtlehead Peak. All these familiar peaks. There's the new peak area, Calico Hills. Bridge Mountain. Now we're over at the Rainbow Mountains. Rainbow Mountain. Mount Wilson. Indecision Peak. Blue Diamond Hill. Beautiful day. So let's find Gateway Canyon. Okay, from here you can see Jean's Trail descending toward Gateway Canyon, and then over the edge here is Gateway Canyon. We want to get across Gateway Canyon and over to the Kraft Mountain Loop Trail, which is on the other side. And the way we're going to do that is that there is this pretty imposing canyon with vertical walls. And look at some of these rocks. That looks like it's just waiting to fall. There is the Monkey Bar Boulder, very popular climbing place where you can actually climb upside down on a boulder, practice your upside down rock climbing, for all those who love doing that. And you can see some chalk marks on the boulder showing where rock climbers have been practicing. A lot of practice boulders on this side of Kraft Mountain. All of these boulders are bouldering practice, rock climbing practice. Get your skills refined, stretched on the boulders before you go up in the cliffs. Anyway, yeah, Jean's Trail is going to descend and then circle around and cross over to the Kraft Mountain Loop Trail. Awesome little loop trail, Kraft Mountain Loop Trail. It's about 3.5 miles. Great workout. But anyway, what we're going to do is take this side, the east side of Kraft Mountain, and head up Gateway Canyon. So here we go. And here we are, Jean's Trail. Here's little crossover point. We want to head down into Gateway Canyon and then ascend that lighter rock pathway up to the Kraft Mountain Loop Trail and then proceed up Gateway Canyon. Okay, having just crossed Gateway Canyon, descending from Jean's Trail on the other side, we are now on the Kraft Mountain Loop. And here is that loop trail. It's going to take us up further into Gateway Canyon. We're right at the lower opening of Gateway Canyon. Once again, it's between Kraft Mountain on the left and Gray Cap Ridge on the right. Now, a note about navigating Gateway Canyon. It's a wild canyon. There are a number of dry fall barriers, and the thing to look for is a bypass on the right or the left side of that dry fall. It could either be right at the dry fall, or it could be, I don't know, 50 feet, 100 feet before the dry fall, but look for that bypass. You could try to climb the dry falls, but wow, they are vertical and you might need some advanced rock climbing experience. I wouldn't do it myself. Continuing up Gateway Canyon, and now you can see Trailhead Peak ahead. Now, when you're in a canyon this time of year, the temperatures have warmed up. You might think of rattlesnakes. And after, I don't know, 8, 9 years doing regular weekly adventures, I had not seen one rattlesnake until the last couple of weeks, where I saw 2 rattlesnakes, 1 each week. And just a little strategy when it comes to rattlesnakes. One is just realize they're probably more afraid of you than you are of them, and they want to get away. It's not like they're going to jump out and bite you unless you've cornered them. So give them a lot of room, but even better is to let them know you're coming. And what I have is these trekking poles, and as I walk, I set them down with each step, and rattlesnakes can hear that a long way off, and so they're going to most likely take off. Another thing is that if you come across one, don't approach it, and it's most likely to move away. Now, the one thing that's kind of a wild card is if you surprise a rattlesnake. Let's say you're climbing on some of the rocks, there happens to be one up there. You just want to, once again, let them know you're coming if you can, and just watch where you put your hands. Once again, the most likely chance of being bitten by a rattlesnake is if you surprise it or corner it. So just try to see it before it sees you. Recognize the sound of the rattle. I've got that on one of the videos. It's the Mount Wilson, Arizona summit video, where we saw a rattlesnake at the end of that hike in an area just like this, and You can hear the sound. You can't actually see it. They're very camouflaged, which is why you want to be careful and not step on one. Anyway, yeah, just some caution, but realize that they are majestic creatures and they're more afraid of you than you are of them. Just give them a lot of space. You can see Gateway Canyon now becoming more wild and majestic as we ascend. Surface is still pretty level, no major barriers. Here is the Gray Cap Ridge side. There's looking down the canyon. Kraft Mountain side of the canyon. And looking up the canyon. And of course, Trailhead Peak. Always straight ahead. Beautiful rock formations. Take some time, look around, enjoy these unique features that are not exactly copied anywhere else on Earth. A lot of rain last winter. Here's a little squeeze through the bushes, little climb, nothing major. Here's a bit of a barrier. Not really bad, probably could climb it, but like I said, look for a bypass route. I think we might have a bypass route over here to the left of that barrier. So let's just go ahead and take this little stairway upward, and the idea is that on the other side we're going to descend back into the canyon above that barrier we just saw. And here we are at the top of the bypass. You can see the lower canyon we just passed through, and then over here there's a little trail that takes us down to the canyon to continue upward. And just a little ledge here that you can easily lower yourself down this, and you're back in the canyon. Another little barrier. The walls look like a finely polished Roman bath. Very beautiful. Again, looks like there's a bypass over here. Looking down the canyon. and back to the barrier and the bypass. Okay, now if you're doing the Kraft Mountain Loop, you want to look for a little trail like this, and this may be it actually, and that'll take you up to the other side of the Kraft Mountain Loop, which is right at the base of this hill above. And it'll take you up to Pink Goblin Pass and back down to the Kraft Mountain Trailhead. That's if you're on the Kraft Mountain Loop. But today we're going to continue up Gateway Canyon, so we're going to pass by some of these little split off trails that keep you on the loop. And here we are passing Kraft Mountain and continuing upward, heading for Upper Gateway Canyon. By the way, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, there you go. These people are on the Kraft Mountain Loop. And this trail will take you up to where those people are. Okay, onward. Okay, continuing up the canyon, and yeah, if you missed that first little connector trail, here are a couple more connector trails that'll take you around Kraft Mountain. They'll take you up there, then you can take a left and head over to Pink Goblin Pass and then down to the Kraft Mountain parking area. And if you miss all three of these that I've shown you, there's another that is even larger trail up ahead. So I'll show you that when we get there. Okay, and here is the opening. This is the final opening if you want to head back around Kraft Mountain. Okay, entering Upper Gateway Canyon, and as you can see, the terrain gets a little more choppy here. And again, when you reach a barrier, look for a bypass. And what I'm going to do is show you a split off trail. It's Rattlesnake Gulch. We'll be coming up to that soon. That's a left split. We won't take that today, but it just for your information, it'll take you up to Ash Canyon. As you approach Turtlehead Peak, the canyon narrows and you see a lot more of this. Still not a huge barrier to cross yet, but there are a few ahead. And here in Gateway Canyon is my favorite shrub in all of Nevada. The little smiley shrub. Look at that. It must have been formed by human hands, but who knows? Maybe not. The smiley shrub. And then, as you can see, the canyon continues on up past the smiley shrub. It starts getting even more gnarly. But there'd been a lot of boulder climbing below us too. So nothing really difficult. Just as long as you know where the stairs are. And realize that the rock is very smooth in some places. It's as smooth as marble. So just watch your step, and if it's raining, forget it. Okay, here's the first real barrier ahead, and it's not that horrible. Could probably climb up this rock fairly easily, but I want to look for a bypass. When you see a barrier, look for a bypass. And I see something over here, so I want to practice watching for the bypasses and using them, because the barriers are going to get more vertical and higher. And it looks like you could bypass on the other side over here too. So there are ways to manage the barriers. And then here's the 360 just so you can see where we are. So let's go ahead and try this bypass and just see how it does for us. And if it is indeed a bypass, it looks like you can squeeze through this little channel ahead. So we'll try that and see how it works. Yeah, that bypass did the trick. And here we are above the barrier. You can see it down there. And then ahead, looks a little rugged, but still there are ways to continue on through these boulders that are increasingly huge. And then looking up toward Gray Cap Ridge. Actually, the ridge is behind these formations that we see here in the foreground. And then looking back down Gateway Canyon, there's New Peak. And then you can see Ash Canyon, the upper portion of Ash Canyon. So there you have it. It's where we are. Let's continue upward in Gateway Canyon. Okay, huge barrier ahead. And this is one that now only an experienced, skilled rock climber would want to try this one. Definitely not me. And so looking up this side, nah, that doesn't look too good either. So looking up this side, there's a little more gradual here. But I saw this barrier coming, and also that, yeah, this could work actually. I saw a bypass just a little bit back, and so let's go to that bypass and see if we can just climb over all of this and end up on top of this barrier dry fall. And there's the barrier up in that direction, and here's what it looks like, an even more gradual bypass. And I want to make this canyon as easy as possible. So let's go up here and see if this will guide us around. There's a few trees, probably some desert holly and some sharp stuff to navigate, but let's go ahead and try this. Yeah, that little bypass seems to be doing the job. There you see down into the canyon, still below the barrier. But let's top this up here and see if we end up above the barrier. And here we are on the upper edge of that barrier, looking down to the canyon below. And the bypass up here did the trick beautifully. However, looking ahead, that wasn't our last barrier. A lot of terraces here, some, again, very smooth rock. This one looks like there is a possibility just to head straight up and navigate the ledges there. So let's see what we can do to get up this next barrier. And this is the story of Gateway Canyon. Just a number of barriers, and there's Trailhead Peak. Okay, climbed up that last ledge. Not horribly bad. And there were enough handholds to go right up the center. But look ahead. Immediately, here's the next barrier ahead. And this time, I think, even though it looks possible, to climb up this barrier, I do see a bypass on this side and a bypass on this side. So, yeah, I think I'm going to try the left side over here just because there's not as much exposure over on the right side. I see getting past this bush and the loose dirt could be a little bit of a challenge, maybe not. Actually, both look pretty easy. Yeah, I don't know which one I'm going to do. I'll let you know when I get to the other side of this barrier. Okay, I came up this side with the bush. A little more exposure, but it really wasn't bad at all. And I could have gone up the other side too, so you can see how that heads up above that boulder. And then down into the canyon to continue our upward ascent through the canyon. And these barriers come one after the other, so there will be more. Well, here's a bit of a monster barrier ahead. Look at that. But I believe one could take a bypass route up above. And that route would start back in this area. So, yeah, let's go ahead and see if that works. Doesn't look too easy to navigate on this left side, although it is possible, and it looks like some people have done it. But I'm going to stick to the right side, and let's just see how that works out. Well, this bypass on the right side is popular enough that it's actually got a little trail. So good choice. We'll see how it looks up at those rocks, but yeah. Well, not bad. That bypass actually did the trick. And here we are above the huge barrier. And it looks like there's a sketchier bypass route that would have been on the left. A lot of loose rock and exposure. So I really like this one that I took. It was on the right side. And except for that little creepy corner up there, squeezed through with the major drop off below, but still not too bad. And we're free to continue up Gateway Canyon. Immediately another barrier, only this one looks like one could just take the little ramp up the left side, top the barrier, and continue on. So let's do that. More significant barriers ahead. Didn't see these coming, so I wasn't watching for a bypass. I am going to, I guess, once again, on the left, there's a potential bypass. Looks kind of loose rock, but it is possible. And then just descend to above those barriers. And it looks like, well, I don't know where a bypass would start on the right. This looks a little steep here, maybe a little further back. Find something more gradual and then head up and over. So I'm not sure which one I'll take. I'll let you know when I get there. Well, the left had some crumbly rock and pretty steep, so I chose the right, and turns out right was right. Here's a little path, and then looking over at the left, yeah, it doesn't get easier the higher you go. There's no easy way to circle around those barriers. So this right side's definitely the way to go for this one. And as a matter of fact, I came up right over there, yet the bypass started way below. You can see the trail stretching downward there. So yeah, and good view of the canyon looking down. Yeah, Gateway Canyon is not a canyon that you're gonna run at a sprint. It's complicated, but wherever there's a barrier, there's a bypass so far. And this little bypass trail did it. Here's a little crack. I think I came up this crack one time, last time I was in the canyon. And look ahead. Things are getting a little less vertical. So I think we're nearing Upper Gateway Canyon, and then of course we got to look down over this barrier that we just bypassed, and there it is. There's the barrier. Definitely not gonna scale that right there. There's the canyon, Here's the bypass that we just took. So, Gateway Canyon is a puzzle. And you just take your time and you should be okay. Well, things are leveling off a little bit, although the boulders are still huge. And you can see sandstone ahead. I believe that's Gray Cap Ridge. It might even be Gray Cap Peak. Not sure. But we'll find out soon. Cool little arch. A lot of surprise formations along the way. Then looking back down the canyon. Wow. Okay, let's continue upward. Okay, I just ascended through upper Gateway Canyon. You see the boulders there at the top. A lot of barriers, but yeah, you could always weave your way around. And there was always a bypass wherever there was a barrier. And now I'm looking at a gully here that I saw before, and looks like that would take us up in this direction, and that almost looks like Gray Cap Peak. I don't know for sure, but it fits all the descriptions I've seen. And there's Gray Cap Ridge descending. And here's Gateway Canyon ascending. And you can see we're in the sandstone area. Very soon we'll be here in the sandstones. So yeah, a number of possibilities to get up to this height. One could go up this gully and then take a left. On the other hand, one could go part way up and then weave around up the side of the sandstone there. And from what I've seen, that is actually a popular route to summit Gray Cap Peak. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, not having been here before. I'm tempted to head up this gully and see what things look like from the higher perspective up at the saddle. So let's do that and see what things look like on the other side of the saddle and what potential approaches to this high point, which I think is Gray Cap Peak. Okay, onward. And by the way, a quick 360. We didn't look in the other direction. There's a lot visible from this point. Okay, again, here we are looking down the canyon, down Gateway Canyon. And then this high point up above is Trailhead Peak from a different perspective than you're probably used to. You're used to seeing it on the other side. And then, of course, the sandstone, the ascent up that sandstone toward what I believe is Gray Cap Peak. We got to get up there to really know for sure. Okay, here's some help. Cairns. Let's follow the cairns. Time for the Spider-Man shoes. We are on sandstone slabs now, following cairns that are quite possibly leading to that high point, which is quite possibly Great Cap Peak. We'll know when we get there. Well, cairns aren't helping a lot. They all just disappeared. But I do see some white rock on top of the red rock. Little stones, maybe those are cairns. Who knows? The important thing is, I think we just keep making our way up to this high point up here. So let's keep doing that. And by the way, let's take a look around. Turtlehead Peak, Gateway Canyon, and then here's the gully that I'm ascending, or at least above the gully now. It's keeping my sights on this high point. And I'm going to imagine it's Gray Cap Peak. Who knows though? Let's just keep heading up in that direction. And I like to say I'm going to follow these white stones that I see, but you know, they might just be stones that have fallen from above. So yeah, just traveling by gut here. Now it does look like there's kind of a cairn over in this direction. You know, I don't trust anything other than just my gut at this point. So let's continue on up in this direction and maybe hit that gully between, you know, it looks like a little chute. It goes up to the summit. Well, I can't believe I've come up this way. Loose rock, sandstone, and pretty steep angle downward. But as long as we're up here, I believe we're looking at La Madre Mountain. Over here, Turtlehead Peak. Not a good place to stand, but let's try. Okay, Rainbow Mountains. Buffalo Wall area. Bridge Mountain. Rainbow Mountain. Rainbow Wall to the right. And then to the right of that and a little below, Juniper Peak. Then we got Mount Wilson. And way over that way, the very tip of the Spring Mountain Range, is Potosi Mountain. So there you have it. Boy, I hope I don't have to go down this way. that is just touch and go the whole way. Okay, so let's look up, and you know what's up above? I don't know. I was going to say it looks easier than what we've just been through, but who knows? Anyway, we'll go up there, look around. If we can't find a way up to the top, then what we do is turn around and head down this. Well, if there's a way up to Gray Cap Peak, I think I took the wrong route. It is possible to climb up these formations, but wow, I don't think I want that kind of exposure. So it looks like we get to turn around and head back down this. Get down to the Gateway Canyon, then maybe work my way over to Brownstone Basin, and then down Brownstone Basin to the Half Wilson Trail and then Jean's Trailhead. So yeah, it's beautiful up here. By the way, there is Red Cap. Yeah, it's beautiful up here, but there's not much to hold you up, and it's all, a lot of it's loose rock. We don't want to start any of that tumbling. So, yep, slither my way back down, and then I'll report back when we are safely at the bottom of this exciting little incline that I think is Gray Cap Peak. Okay, we're back on terra firma, having been almost all the way up into that area. Wow, what an experience. I'm sure there was an easier way. And there's that saddle. If I had to do it over again, I might go up to the saddle and look around. Or maybe this is a way. We don't know. Anyway, yeah. Let's continue on into Gateway Canyon, Upper Gateway Canyon. See if I can make a circuit down into Brownstone Basin. That should be interesting. Once in Brownstone Basin, if I get there, it's going to be an easy trip back down the Brownstone Trail and Road, and then connect with the Half Wilson Trail, and then over to Jean's Trailhead. Okay, onward. Well, it may be a stretch, but I do believe this channel between the two towering rock formations will lead to Brownstone Basin. We don't know for sure, but let's give it a try. That would be an awesome shortcut. looking back down Gateway Canyon. Up to Trailhead Peak. Looks like a lot of brush in there, but let's just see if we can pull this off. Well, this is totally weird. I feel like I've been transported into another dimension. The maps that I remember don't seem to indicate that I'd be in a place like this. And this just keeps going up. So what I'm going to do, the only landmark that I can trust right now is Trailhead Peak. So that tells me that I head around to the other side of this rock formation and then circle around and get into Brownstone Basin. Thought this would lead to Brownstone Basin, but it keeps going up, which means that maybe it goes up to Gray Cap Ridge. And what I'm looking at up there is Gray Cap Ridge. But we just don't know for sure. That's a long ways up to find out that we took a wrong turn. There is a cave. Pretty cool. Middle of nowhere. So, yeah. I'm tempted to keep heading up in this direction until I get to a point where I can see around. And maybe that's part of Gray Cap Ridge. But we just don't know. So I think I'm going to head down this way around this white rock formation and then circle over to Brownstone Basin. Okay, I went in the opposite direction to what I said I was going to do. I was going to go around this this white rock formation, and instead I came up the opposite direction. I'm glad I did, because now I'm seeing the La Madre Mountains ridgeline. We were seeing Trailhead Peak before, and looking down in this direction, down into Brownstone Basin, which means that Brownstone Basin would have been around that rock formation. I may go back down, but on the other hand, maybe I'll just keep ascending here and descend over the top of Gray Cap Ridge, because I know this is Gray Cap Ridge and Brownstone Basin is below. So I don't know. I may go up a little further. Looks very doable. I want to see what the very summit looks like up there. Wow, I'm really turned around now. That looks like Kraft Mountain. And if that is Kraft Mountain, then that's Pink Goblin Pass. Oh my gosh. Where have I ended up? Okay, and there's, I know that's Blue Diamond Hill. And then the Calico Hills down in that direction. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, if all else fails, we just head toward Brownstone Basin. But I want to see what's up here. So let's check that out. If it's all vertical, then yeah, I got to turn around. Yeah, that would make that gray cap peak. Oh my gosh. I forgot to put the muffler on. So, the big question, is it quicker going down this way? Or is it quicker going all the way around and heading down that way to Brownstone Basin? Boy, I'm going to go up to the next rise just to see what we're dealing with up here. And then maybe I can make a decision at that point. Okay, way too vertical in this direction. Quick executive decision. We head back down and over to Brownstone Basin, and then down Brownstone Basin back to Jean's Trailhead. Wow, that is going to be a long little trek. We want to make it before dark, at least down to Brownstone Basin. Here we go. Well, that didn't take too long to descend from the high point up there down to here. And then what we do is we circle around this rock formation and into Brownstone Basin. So let's see if that all works out. You can see Trailhead Peak on the left. Well, hallelujah. I'm down on Brownstone Road. And so let the races begin. All the way down to Jean's Trailhead. And just to give you an idea where we are, La Madre Mountains, Damsel Peak, and heading down Brownstone Road. Here we go.